Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another session here in Reader's Magnet's featured author. My name is Leah, and I am your interviewer for today. And with me is one of the Reader's Magnet's featured author. And today, he will be sharing to us what this book is all about, him as an author, and of course, what inspired him to write this book. So, yes, everyone, let's all welcome our one and only Mr. James Corkill, author of the book Dead Energy. Yes, hi James. How are you doing? It's good to see you.
Hi, Leah. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, it is such an honor as well that you let Reader's Magnet to be part of this journey. Thank you so much for that, James. So yes, James, this is the moment we've been waiting for because of course it's now time to know more information about your book, Dead Energy. But before we go on to that, we wanted to know who Mr. James Corkill is. So yes, a little bit of self-introduction, please.
Yeah, my name is James Corkill. Right now, I live in North Carolina. I'm originally from Washington State. I was a federal firefighter for 32 years and then retired and moved out here to North Carolina, and I live in the mountains now. My main job was just sitting around writing books, and now I'm writing screenplays also. So,
Wow, that's interesting. Screenplays. Wow, that's nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, James. So, yes, James, on your book, Dead Energy, of course, we wanted to know, can you tell us what this book is all about?
sure. Uh, the main character, Alex Cave, he's just a regular old guy, and he gets into this situation that he really didn't want to get into, but he's kind of forced into it, where all of a sudden oil has vanished from these oil tankers along the coming down from Alaska, completely empty, as if they never had oil in them at all. Pretty soon, the Alaska pipeline is completely empty, as if it never had any oil in it at all. Refineries along the west coast dry up. Pretty soon, it starts spreading through the United States. Oil wells start drying up, going up, and nobody can figure out what's going on and where the oil is going. But Alex, he's on this case, and it's his job to go ahead and figure out what's going on and what's causing it, and if possible, find a way to stop it. He has some great people with him. He's friends with the director of national security, Martin Donner, which helps him out a lot. He gets whatever he needs, passes and interviews and carte blanche to interview or to go to these different places. He meets up with this young gal. She's a biochemist for the Alaska Pipeline Company, and while she's inspecting one of the tankers that went dry, she finds this crystal stuck in there. Can't figure out what it is. She takes it to her laboratory, puts it under a microscope, and it looks like it's alive. It's got these fine, minuscule lines going through it that are actually moving. Now, she doesn't know how this crystal came to be and how it ended up in this oil tanker. But anyway, she meets Alex Cave and he finds out about it. And so they start working together to try to figure out, okay, where did this come from and where is the oil going? Pretty soon, more tankers are empty. The crews are disappearing as if they've never been on board. They found one crew 150 miles away in the mountains and no idea how they got there. And then Alex is on this quest to try to figure out what's going on, who's in charge, who's causing it, which is this main character. His name is Menno Simons. His mother is asthmatic, and he's all his life he's been environmentalist. And his main function, his desire, is to rid the world of crude oil, to get rid of it. No more machines. And that's his
Mm-hmm.
quest. He's got hundreds of followers that help him on this quest. I don't want to go too much detail and give too much of it away, but anyway,
Right, right.
he ends up down at Groom Lake, Nevada, Area 51, and that's where everything starts going crazy. And they discover that this ancient spacecraft had crashed there a long time ago, and it's in one of the hangars, and they're studying it. They learn that this crystal is what powers that spacecraft. They put it in, and everything starts changing. So,
Wow, that's amazing. Wow,
yeah.
that's amazing, James. From Alex, which is the one who encounters a terrifying mystery about the oil tanker, and who also, encounter, or let's say, just like what you mentioned earlier, he's also racing against time to, avoid these global chaos and the collapse of civilization. Wow. So this story of yours, James, would really invite our readers to discover the outcome by, um, knowing what's within us. And wow, this is just so amazing. Thank you so much for that, James.
So,
The yes, yes. Now, James, also, We are very curious as well, James. What's the inspiration about your book? I mean, what was the inspiration behind the title of your book, and how did you come up with this?
It all started back in about 1986. I was a federal firefighter, and we were all sitting around one day talking and stuff. And I'd been messing around with writing stories and stuff, but I never really had a clear idea what I wanted. This friend of mine, he says, well, this is during quite a bit during the oil shortage too, at that time. And the friend says, can you imagine what it'd be like if all of a sudden there was no more oil? And boom, sparked the idea. And I said, that would make a great story. So went ahead and started working on it. And it took me 3 years before I finally finished it. And the problem was, I kind of rushed the ending. My wife, unfortunately, she was dying of cancer, and she wanted to see me publish my first book before she passed away. So I rushed the endings to get it done. I published 12 copies of it. She got to read it, and she says, I love the story. I just didn't like the ending. And then the other people that read it too, they said the same thing. Love the story, just didn't like the ending. So after I retired from the federal fire department, I moved out here, and somehow I only printed 12 copies of it, like I said. Somehow a copy ended up out here in North Carolina from Washington State. And this lady said she found it at a garage sale. And she asked if I still wrote. And I said, no, I drink now. And she said, you really could do that story over again. And she said, I really liked it. I just didn't like the ending. I said, nobody likes the ending. So anyway, she spurred me on. I quit drinking, got started on it, came up with a new idea for the ending. And that led into the complete series. And with the new ending, everybody loved it. I mean, they thought, oh, okay, finally, it's great. So that's how I ended up finally finishing it. But yeah, it was a long process. It
Wow.
took me 3 years, and then of course a long time after my wife passed away, I was in kind of a slump and drinking a lot and everything, and I kind of gave up on writing. And it just took meeting that one person was just the inspiration I needed, and boom, I started writing again. And now I've been putting out about a novel a year, and as you can see behind me, I got 8 of them so far. Dead Energy is also I wrote the movie scripts for all these also. And Dead
Mhm.
Energy was a top 5 finalist in one of the contests I wrote or entered it in, and which really surprised me because I went online and looked up the other 4 people, and they're all professional screenwriters, and I'm just an amateur, and here I am with them. So it's just a great feeling. So
Right, exactly. And congratulations for your achievement, James. I mean, from your own experience by being a firefighter and right now being a writer or an author, and you're already sharing it to among as many people. And wow, you have been receiving a lot of great acknowledgement because yes, I've actually seen your book online as well. And yes, there's a good reviews and as well as a positive feedback coming from your readers. And your creativity is really one of the things that drives you as well. To understand why there are a lot of interested people out there, especially that your genre of your book is very unique. Talking about sci-fi right now, really, this is very interesting because sci-fi books offers reader a, let's say, a thrilling escape into imaginative worlds, where the boundaries of reality are stretched, allowing them to explore like and advance technologies, just like talking about the what alien civilizations, the the existential let's say dreams or dilemmas. Wow, this is really a great or let's say a fascinating concept that you have, James. And also, James, um, in your book, since this book of yours is you're not just about you creating the story, but it is also advocating for a specific cause and agenda, especially that Alex, which is one of the characters in the book, wanted to also uncover a radical plot that endangers the world's energy supply. Now, what are the things that your reader could take away after reading your book? What do you think readers will take away after reading your book?
well, in part of it, society starts to crumble. Everybody starts turning on each other. People start fighting over food because they can't get any fuel over the
Mhm.
mountains to bring in any supplies and everything. And it just shows that one little thing can really tip the way people react to each other and how the survival mode kicks in. And yet you still have people that are very generous and trying to help, but you also got these nasty people that take what they want. And it kind of gives you an idea of what society can do when things start going wrong. There's
Mm.
a survivalist group that in the story too, that runs this big camp, and everybody that's trying to escape the problems with the oil end up at this survivalist camp, and that really changes everything too. I forgot to mention that earlier in the book about that, but yeah. So Yeah, the takeaway on it basically is just realizing that even though humanity can turn on each other and everything, you'll see that there are people in there in the world too that are good people that will help change things around. And Alex is one of those people. So that was my
Right, right. Of course, it provoke the provoked thought about the future of humanity. Incorporating the fascinating concepts like, yeah, a lot of topics. These narratives also challenge our readers as well. Your to really invention what lies ahead, to consider the impact of their choices that they have today, right now. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing, James. Now, also, James, what difference do you see? We are very curious because I know that you are already a successful, writer or an author. This is something personal. What difference do you see between a writer and an author?
run that by me again, please.
Yeah, what difference do you see between a writer and an author?
To me, a writer is somebody that just writes down things that are already done, or and where an author has the imagination to create things in his head and put them down on paper. How's
I
that?
like that. Yes, yes, that's really interesting. That's really interesting, James. Which you mentioned earlier, author is I believe that it's more distinguished term to really write. That talks about creativity, while a writer can be anyone who just writes anything. But an author is really someone who is very professional, imaginative, and wow. And that's you. That's you. Storyteller, right? Wow, that's amazing. Yes, and also, James, before we end our session, do you have any message to our viewers out there, or anything that you can share to your future readers?
If you like the first one, you like the series. That's a 7 book series, the same main characters. Each one deals with a different topic and how people react in those different situations. And so each book is kind of like I grab a new idea and then stretch that out to where how it interacts with everybody and the good people and the bad people. And so far, it's doing pretty good. I'm having a lot of success and I'm having a lot of fun doing it too. I'll tell you.
Yes, and we can see that. Thank you so much for that, James. And you know what, everyone, if you're interested to have these kinds of book, talking about the sci-fi thriller, this book really offers, like, a unique advantage by blending imaginative, futuristic concepts with, of course, suspenseful storytelling. I mean, who wouldn't want to have, like, let's say, solving a mystery, red herrings, stimulating readers to be more curious, and creativity is also there while exploring these, I must say, complex themes such as technological ethics, the human psychology. There's a lot of things that we can really have in this kind of book. It also engaged the mind through what, I must say, speculative scenarios, forcing readers to really consider all these implications of scientific advancements of the unknown. Well, that is something very interesting. And thank you so much, James. And yes, for our viewers out there, if you are interested to grab a copy of Mr. James Corkill's book, that's available in Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, and do check his website. That's jamesmcorkill.wordpress.com. And yes, it's your time to know more information about the author, the book itself, and of course, his journey. And yes, again, Mr. James Kirkle, thank you so much. And here, also for our viewers, please do check, because this book will also be part of the London Book Fair that will be happening on March 11 to 13. So, yes, Mr. James Corkill, any other message before we end our session?
Just I hope anybody that likes it, hope they enjoy the story. Um,
All right.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
about it. I look forward. I'm working on another one already, so I've always got one going. So
Yes, yes. And you know what? I like it because, of course, it's very important for us to also leave some, cliffhangers for our readers to be more interested about the book.
yes,
Thank you so
exactly.
much. Thank you so much, Mr. James Corkill. And yes, everyone, this is our author, Mr. James Corkill, author of the book, Dad Energy. Again, thank you so much, James. And as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.